videos. We wondered if we shouldn't have titled this next video, What's Emerging? Because what we're looking at is not only what's possible, but the proof of possibility is that it's emerging. And so there was a little bit of a debate about whether we could title the video that. We've stayed with what's possible, but maybe the next time we refresh the videos, it'll be what's emerging, what we're seeing around us. So in that spirit, we're going to look deeply at what is occurring. And some of you might know people are referring to these times that we're in as the great turning or the great transition. A sense of historical moment is upon us. Let's delve into that and see that. I'm going to advance us to a video that we want to look at. I should have perhaps queued this up while we were drinking.
What if you lived in a home on a...
Okay. So our third question, what's possible now?
Let us remember that there is a creative force in this universe, a power that is able to make a way out of no way and transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows. Let us realize that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.
There is a tendency to think that what we see in the present moment will continue. We forget how often we've been astonished by the sudden crumbling of institutions, by extraordinary changes in people's thoughts, by unexpected eruptions of rebellion against tyrannies, by the quick collapse of systems of power that seemed invincible. What leaps out from the history of the past 100 years is its utter unpredictability.
Demonstrations in Russia were like totally illegal. After 1 second holding the banner in front of you, you would be arrested. But we did it once, and we did it twice, and then we did it 3 times. And a year later, demonstrations were a common thing on the streets of Moscow. We didn't believe that we can change anything, but we did it anyway.
After many centuries of warfare in Europe, who could have imagined the emergence of the political and economic power that is now the European Union? And in a country with a history of slavery and segregation, who could have predicted that a man of color would be elected its president? Or that a nation would publicly apologize for the wrongs committed against its first peoples?
We apologize for the laws and policies of successive parliaments and governments that have inflicted profound grief, suffering and loss on these our fellow Australians. For the pain, suffering and hurt of these stolen generations, we say sorry.
Many, many years ago, I interviewed Desmond Tutu prior to the end of apartheid. And he kept saying, when we end apartheid, and I kept thinking, yeah, right, like dream on. I mean, I didn't want to, rain on his parade or anything, but in my heart of hearts, I thought, not in your lifetime. And lo and behold, a year and a half later, it was over. So it was a really profound lesson about what can happen when the will of people aligns.
We have defeated awful things like Nazism, like communism, like apartheid. And we've seen some wonderful human beings, Mahatma Gandhi, the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa. What that says is that ultimately good prevails. It is a moral universe, despite all appearances to the contrary. It is that there's no way in which evil will ultimately triumph.
Many experts are convinced that humanity already possesses the resources and technology to solve our most pressing environmental and social problems.
We know how to do these things. This is not a great mystery. We don't have to do research for the next 20 years to figure out what to do. We know what to do. We think it'll take about $200 billion a year to stabilize population, eradicate poverty, and restore the economy's natural support systems over the next decade. That's a lot. But when you compare it with military budgets, it's really not that much. It is less than a third of the US military budget. It is roughly an eighth of the global military budget. So we can't say we don't have the resources to save civilization. We do.
The ideas, technologies, and policies that will lead to a new future are already emerging in government, business, and civil society, as well as in people's personal lives throughout the world.
El Ecuador es el primer país en el mundo en reconocer los derechos de la naturaleza en su constitución. El reconocer los derechos de la naturaleza significa tratar a la naturaleza como un alien a quien proteger y no como algo que se destruye, que se explota.
The United Nations Millennium Development Goals represent a worldwide effort to end hunger and poverty by 2015.
Businesses and corporations are recognizing that success in the 21st century means paying attention to the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit.
A lot of people think that trash is inevitable. It's one of those necessary evils of life, but that's not true. Waste is actually the product of bad design, and bad design can be changed.
Innovative design is also creating low-tech solutions for the developing world. At the heart of the transition to a new world are the communities, families, and individuals who are changing the way they are living, making new choices based on the values that support a more sustainable, just, and fulfilling society.
When we think about global warming, we think about transportation, we think about how we heat our houses, but in fact, how we eat has just as big an impact on climate change.
Everywhere on planet Earth, in cities and towns, suburbs and villages, a vast and unprecedented global phenomenon is beginning to make itself known.
There is another superpower here on Earth that is an unnamed movement. It is far different and bigger and more unique than anything we have ever seen. It flies under the radar of the media by and large. It is nonviolent. It is grassroots. It has no cluster bombs, no armies, and no helicopters. It has no central ideology. A male vertebrate is not in charge. This unnamed movement, you can clap for that. The very word movement is too small to describe it. This is humanity's immune response to resist and heal political disease, economic infection, and ecological corruption caused by ideologies. This is fundamentally a civil rights movement, a human rights movement. This is a democracy movement. It is the coming world. What you're seeing here is the beginning of a list of the 2 million organizations in the world that work towards social and environmental justice. And that's a minimum. To give you a sense of how big this movement is, if I start this tape today at 9 a.m. and we watch this all day and all night, and the day after that, and then we watch it for 3 more weeks, and then another month after that, we still would not have seen the names of all the groups in the world. It's the largest social movement in the history of humankind by far.
Powering this growing global phenomenon is the explosive digital revolution that is revealing and connecting a planetary human community.
People can now be connected nationwide to act locally in their communities and then have all that local action united into one synchronized, beautiful, harmonic voice.
The only voice we have is this video editing. We don't know books, so we can't write much. But if we are able to do a small film of what is happening to us, it will go to the internet and the whole world will see it.
We have the technologies, policies, and initiatives to move us toward a thriving future. All that's missing is something that only human beings can provide: the commitment, the collective will to change our direction. Awake, committed people are galvanizing that will and becoming who they need to be to make it happen together.
So friends, it's an exciting time to be alive. We can see what's emerging, we can see what's possible, and I bet you can think of examples of what's emerging around you in your world already. I'm thinking of a couple of things that I've been seeing, and I was delighted to see that quite recently San Francisco decided that in all its council offices they would have meat-free Mondays, in an effort to reduce the amount of meat consumption and its impact on the environment. So we see all sorts of strange instances. Barb, I know you've got some that you see. I was also thinking how many people I know now take a choice not to own a car, and they rely on either public transport or the occasional use of things like zip cars. Does anybody here know zip cars? So there are all sorts of innovations. What else are you seeing going on well, where you're living in the Bay Area?
Yeah, well, I was thinking particularly about young people, because there's a lot of exciting projects and initiatives. One that is really capturing the attention of the media in the country right now is the fossil fuel divestment campaign, which is young people all across the country organizing on their campuses to get their universities and colleges to divest from fossil fuel investments and to reinvest that in clean energy. And I believe it was Stanford University was the most recent university that actually signed on to divest from all fossil fuels. So that's a big one.
And this has an international dimension as well. And most of us here, I guess, have heard of Kiva loans. So we can lend money through Kiva to entrepreneurs around the world who might actually need relatively small amounts to help them. I've invested in textile industries in South America. I invested in supporting somebody who was raising livestock in Africa. So the ability for us to use relatively small amounts of money to support people around the world through microfinance is really exciting. So there are many, many instances of things happening, and I bet there are examples right here in Louisville. Has anybody got anything they want to shout out to us? Yes, sir.
Sure. So along the lines of microfinance, there's something called Slow Money Kentucky, which is facilitating friend-to-friend, peer-to-peer loans between individuals locally and farmers or food preparers locally to help them build their businesses, keep things going.
Keeping local businesses, local farming businesses viable and operating. Peer-to-peer loans. Slow what, sorry? Slow Money Kentucky. Slow Money Kentucky, thank you.
Part of a growing national movement.
So part of a growing national movement and an example of innovation in the space of solutions, which is what we're seeing all around us. And talking of innovation and creativity, what have we got next?
Yeah, so I want us to think about what role media and storytelling have in changing the dream of our modern world. So think about right now, think about how media, billboards, magazines, television, movies, think about how they perpetuate the current dream or worldview. And then think of all of that energy that goes into that and imagine what that would be like if it were different. If it was playing a role, say, like this one, of telling the story of what's possible and the reality, as we just experienced, of our connection. Imagine what would happen if Hollywood and the biggest PR firms in our country were to get together in support of a movement like this. Right? It's like the things that are possible are infinite. Right, and I want to give us actually an example. This next video is just a short 1-minute clip. Was created by Global Mind Shift, and it gives us a little bit of a taste of the possibility of what happens if we were to use media in the way of changing our dream.
Yo, listen up. This is your home. It's the only one you got. This place is pretty, but you can't live there. You can't even get there. So I repeat, this is your home. It's the only one you got. Cherish it, protect it. It's the only one you're gonna get. These guys, they're your neighbors. They ain't going away. They ain't leaving. You have to get along with them. So you have to learn to share. You have to get along. You have to learn to get along. Because they are your neighbors. They're not going away. Okay, all this stuff, the animals, the waters, the sky, the ground, the bugs, the fish, the tacos, the people, they're all connected. Everything is connected. They all depend on one another. If you ignore that, you're doomed. Repeat, doomed, okay? So listen up. It's all one. Not 2 worlds, not 3, one. Just one. So get it in gear. Remember, all is one, okay? Hit it.
Give it up for our friend the Wombat. So that here, I mean, it was fun, and it really does just capture the possibility, really, of global communication. And yeah, not only media, but also our social media, how we can use that to its potential for good. So we have arrived here at our 4th question. Which is, where do we go from here? So given everything that we've taken in, especially this last piece of possibility, what do we do? And the first place to start really lies with the first thing that's necessary, and that's commitment. Really taking a stand. And we're going to watch a short video that is about that, the power, really, the power of taking a stand.
Where do we go from here?
It's 3:23 in the morning, and I'm awake because my great-great-grandchildren won't let me sleep. My great-great-grandchildren ask me in dreams, "What did you do while the planet was plundered? What did you do when the earth was unraveling? Surely you did something when the seasons started failing, as the mammals, reptiles, birds were all dying. Did you fill the streets with protest when democracy was stolen? What did you do once you knew?"
So now we know. We know that our current worldview and the industrial system it gave rise to have run up against the limits of a finite planet. We know that the vitality of the Earth is declining every day, that the chasm between the few of us who have more than we need and the many of us who have not nearly enough gets wider every day. And we know that it is hurting all of us inside.
At the same time, we know that we are part of a worldwide awakening, a grassroots movement for change that is unprecedented in human history. So now that we know, the question arises, what part do we play in this great unfolding story? Where do we go from here?
Where do you go from here?
People want to know what to do, and I think that's a good question too, but a more profound question and a more powerful question is, who do we need to be? And I think who we need to be are people who know that the decisions and choices we make now impact the future of life for the next 100 years. Everybody alive today has a role to play. You don't have a big role and you don't have a small role. You just have your role. And if you play it, then your life will really have a kind of meaning that you've dreamt of.
This is the true joy in life.
The being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one.
D'être une force de la nature au lieu d'un petit nœud égoïste et fébrile de malaise et grief.
Complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy.
Soy de la opinión que mi vida pertenece al mundo entero.
And for as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can.
I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. For the harder I work,
the more I live.
Je me réjouis de la vie en tant que telle.
Life is no brief candle to me.
Es una antorcha espléndida que estoy sosteniendo por ahora.
Et je veux la faire brûler aussi vive que possible.
Before handing it on to future generations. George Bernard Shaw.
I don't think an authentic stand comes from your head. I think an authentic stand comes from your heart. You know, if your child is sick, right? Something happens in you to make a miracle. To make a miracle. And if you start thinking about it, you'll sit down. But if you feel it, you'll stand up. That's the amazing thing about this thing, is that it's when you stand up, you license other people to stand up. Now, you stand up by yourself don't make a dadgum bit of difference in the rational world. You just one fool standing up. But have you ever seen a standing ovation? It starts with one fool standing up. And then pretty soon the whole stadium is standing up. And it's a different moment.
Let's talk about standing up. Let's talk about taking a stand. And to the usher team, I'd like to invite you to begin to pass out the cards, the papers that we have. So somebody will come along in a moment and pass you some, actually 2 pieces of paper which are clipped together. One of them is a declaration card. And if you're watching us on streaming, and I'm sorry we don't have a way of getting this to you online. So let me read what it says on this card as it's being passed to people. Can we take the house lights up a little bit as well, just so that the ushers can find their way to down the aisles with these cards? Do I see the, yeah, thank you, here we are. So we're handing out, one of these pieces of paper is a card that looks like this. And I wonder, I might even have it on a slide. Here we go. I'm committed to bringing forth an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, and socially just human presence on this planet as the guiding principle of our times. So let's talk about taking a stand. Taking a stand is to declare what we want our lives to mean. Taking a stand is different from having an opinion. It's different from deciding what to do. Taking a stand is really making a statement about who we are. If we take a position or have an opinion about something, just the very act of doing that calls up its opposite. When we take a stand for something, we're affirming the direction in which we see life progressing. So we're affirming that the possibility of a sustainable, fulfilling, and socially just human presence. So I offer that we're all actually already taking a stand in our lives for something. Some of us will be taking a stand very consciously, very deliberately, for things that we affirm in life. Others of us are taking a stand actually unconsciously, without knowing it. So again, a bit like with the assumptions, here's a chance to think about what is the stand on which we want to base our own lives and from that, of course, our own actions. And here is an invitation to take a stand for this uniting purpose of sustainability, justice, and fulfillment. So we're passing that to you. You're invited to take that, keep that card. You're invited to sign it if it's meaningful for you to do so. You could sign it immediately. When I was in a symposium in London in 2006, and one of these cards arrived with me, I signed it immediately, and I still have that card dated from 2006. A friend of mine was in the same event. He took the card away. I found out later he'd kept the card unsigned on his fridge for 6 months. He said that card was, and the question it posed to me in my life was so important, it took me 6 months to decide that I could sign it.
We have pens. If anyone needs a pen, raise your hand.
Thank you, sir. So this is an invitation to you. It's yours to keep. We don't need to know how it moves you, what you do with it, but I invite each of you to consider incorporating this stand in who you are in the world. That George Bernard Shaw quote is on the back. The true joy in life, being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one. So thank you. This is yours. You can disregard the other piece of paper for now. That'll make more sense when we've talked a little bit about what comes beyond taking a stand. Our purpose in some way today is to move you to take a stand and then invite you from that stand to move into action. So let's think about some of the actions that are possible. And I want to tell you that the Pachamama Alliance and Generation Waking Up, we are committed to not only this process of today, which we might call an awakening, but we're committed to a longer process that we offer to you in service. And we're offering you this pathway towards action because of our deep-held conviction that now is a time for the citizen's voice to arise in a loud and effective way in this country and in countries all around the world. So our work is designed to bring into being, to contribute to the creation of a mass of citizens awake and active, mobilizable to steer our society towards a sustainable, just, and fulfilling future. The work that we're sharing with you now is the first step in the process of awakening us to be a part of the mobilizable mass of citizens in the US calling out this sustainable, fulfilling, and just future. And so that's the vision that we have of this work, that this work would spread around the country, be present maybe in every metropolitan area, every place where people gather. There'd be an opportunity for people to have the experience of awakening that you're sharing with us today. That experience of waking up into there's a new possibility in the world, and I can join my energy into bringing that possibility forth. The first step in this pathway to building the mobilizable critical mass is today. It's the Awakening the Dreamer Symposium. I think of this as an awakening event. But we know that once we're awakened, our first challenge is to stay awake. And so the process of staying awake requires a few things. The process of staying awake requires that we continue to be exposed to education about these issues. I think you and I would recognize that some of what we've seen and shared today isn't necessarily the daily fare in mainstream news outlets. And so we have a responsibility, we think, to keep educating ourselves. And so what we've designed as an offer to people for that is listed here. Oh, let's keep going. Listed here on these steps of what's available in what we're calling the Up to Us pathway. Step 1 isn't listed here. That's today's event, the awakening event called the Awakening the Dreamer Symposium. But the second step is all about us getting educated. It's an online education program that helps us know how the world is constructed around this rigged game that we talked about, and what it's going to take from us individually and collectively to change that game. So that's an education piece. That education in itself helps keep us awake. The next piece, the community action circles, that serves two functions. One of them, obviously, is a forum in which we can be supported being in action. It might be that we're in an action circle. It might be that Barbara's acting in a particular direction, in a particular project, and I'm operating in another realm. But we can support each other to be successful with what we've taken on contributing to in the world. It might be that we're working together in action in a particular place. We might live in the same area and be addressing the same issues. In action together, we can be effective. But there's another function served when we're in an action circle, and that's the function of connecting us with like-minded people. If you look around the auditorium now, you'll see like-minded souls. The experience we had as we stood in the circle in the milling exercise was one of, we might say, tribe, recognizing other people with the same concerns and motivations as we have. That's what happens when we get together in action circles. So awakened, educated, in action, connected. That's the basis of a mobilizable mass of us, of mobilizable mass of citizen muscle. And then we know that there are directions that we can point that energy into, directions we can point that energy into to change the game. And as an organization, in our assessment, there are two places we'd like to suggest that active citizens can take their voice right now. Two areas that require immediate action for us as citizens. One is representative democracy. How do we as citizens advance the case for and create the structures for representative democracy in this country right now? There's all sorts of concern about the way that recent judgments in the Supreme Court have skewed the playing field and allowed money to come into politics and money to equate to speech. And it seems that one of our most important steps is to transform our systems of government to be truly representative, such that they represent the will of the people, not the will of the people who can bend the ear of our political class. And so we point to representative democracy and say, perhaps without making a difference there, all other issues will be logjammed. Make a difference there, open the door there, release the logjam, and perhaps we can have the progress we need on every other issue. So we urge you to pay some attention to representative democracy. You'll find on our website we have partner organizations that you can bring your energy to in that realm. The other area that needs concern is climate change. The action to avert the worst of the effects of climate change needs urgent action now. And again, at our website, we'll point you to partner organizations that are set up to use citizen muscle and citizen voice to be able to turn that into effective action. So what I'm showing you here is the pathway, the up to us pathway that takes us through the awakening, the staying awake, the getting educated, the getting connected, the getting into action in such a way that we are a mobilizable force of humanity, a citizen's voice in the world. You'll find out about that at our website. The URL is there. But I want to tell you that we're having a day in Louisville tomorrow for people who want to get involved in this last piece where we say pass it on. That's where volunteers, citizen volunteers, actually take the materials like these materials today and take them into their own communities. That's exactly how this work has spread around the world, through the hands of committed volunteers, people like you and I who sat in this experience, realized the power of it, and wanted to share that with people that they love. And so there's a day tomorrow. We're calling it the Up to Us Day. It's happening here in Louisville. Here are the details. It's between 9 and 3:30. It's at the premises, the Earth and Spirit Center. The address is here. That center's been donated to us to have that conversation in tomorrow. And I want to invite all of you to come along. How many of you here think that you would like to be there tomorrow? Can I see a show of hands? Fantastic. Would you please make a point of coming to see me afterwards as we finish at the front of the stage here? I'd love to make sure you've got the directions and you know what the day's about and help you to be there and be part of taking this message out in Louisville and in the surrounding areas. So thank you for that. Those are action steps that we've created as an organization to help you move powerfully into action. I want to honor that there are other options. Barbara's going to tell you about the options that Generation Waking Up have created for younger people. And I want to honor that we need every kind of action right now, and we need every kind of person connected together. So we've got to learn to collaborate in all of this and bring action in many, many different ways. And I know Barbara's got to focus on that key population of young people. Yeah.
Yeah, so at Generation Waking Up, we've actually taken the symposium that you've been experiencing and adapted it for the millennial generation. So my generation of high school, college, university, and 20-somethings, up until about 30 years old. And we take this tool and provide it for free to young people also to learn how to lead and facilitate in their communities with their peers. In addition to that, we focus on leadership through a series of weekend, 5-day, and 7-day trainings that deepen into each of these questions and start from a place of really who are we as a generation and explore that, learn very essential tools for 21st century leadership. And we now have a new program called the Thrive Fellowship that supports young people for a year in creating a project that they will execute in their community or on their campus. And then we provide mentorship, coaches, webinars, all of the support that they need to actually make it happen. So I wanted to share with you a few opportunities that are coming up for young people. If you know of them, please pass this on or come and talk to me. And for the young folks that are here, I definitely want to talk more with you. So this summer in Washington, D.C., we'll be doing a 5-day retreat at a retreat center there. bringing together people from that region, but we're calling that our East Coast training, really, because we'll be bringing people from the Midwest and all of the East Coast together. Same with Ojai, except that's in California, and it'll be bringing together young people from all across the West Coast. These are fantastic opportunities to connect with other like-minded peers who are passionate about creating change on the planet. One that's a little bit closer to here is in Racine. That's actually Wisconsin.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's my typing. Sorry, I apologize.
You're all good. So Racine, Wisconsin, that's in October. It's a weekend training, so it's a bit shorter, but we're able to go pretty deep as we did with this symposium. And then another in Oakland, California. So those are just a few upcoming opportunities, but I invite you to visit our website and learn more. We have also some of the movement campaigns that we're directing our energy towards around democracy, fossil fuel divestment, as I mentioned already, and also around ending mass incarceration. So those are some areas that young people have been getting really engaged with and that we've been supporting the mobilization around.
I'm urging you to take the opportunity of talking to Barbara in person if you're here right now. Please do that. You won't be able to join us tomorrow for the day that we're having.
Yeah, I won't be here tomorrow.
So grab it while you can. And that invitation goes out not just to the youngsters here, but also to the people who aren't millennial, like me, but who are interested in working with that generation.
Yeah.
So it's not, you don't have to qualify in that generation to be interested in what's going on here and to be somebody who can bring information and ideas to that generation. And there are people here, there's a wonderful woman at the back who's brought some of the youth here today, and you're doing exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
So please, everybody's welcome to come into this conversation about this key generation. We've got to learn to work together across generations. We've got to learn to work together across all the lines of differences that have separated us, whether they're real or imagined, whether they're actually visible or constructed in our more recent society. We've got to find those lines of difference, learn to speak across them, learn to befriend each other, learn to recognize the common vision that we have, and the fact that none of us can be liberated from this story that doesn't work unless all of us are. So it's time to hold hands and move forward. That's what I firmly believe. So we're moving towards the end of the presentation today, the inquiry. And we're glad we've had a chance to share with you the opportunities for next steps and action that are being provided by these organizations. There will be many others as well, I know, and I want to acknowledge all of the conduits for action that exist here and around the country, around the world right now. We also want to invite you to think about something that you can introduce newly into your life after today that will remind you of the stand that you're taking, that will remind you of the action that you can see, that will remind you of the possibility and responsibility that you might be feeling flowing through you right now. Right now we can see another world is possible. Right now we can feel the ability to respond to that, the responsibility for that. And I'm inviting each of you to find an action that will remind you of your relationship to the future, the relationship you can see right now. This might not be what your life's work is going to be, but I'm inviting you to think about an action you can bring into your life to remind you of this. And I'm going to give you an example that works for me. I've been meticulously avoiding the drying machine in our house for the last 7 years since I first went to a symposium. I've been a committed user of the washing line. The washing line being a very old invention in which you put wet clothes out in the breeze and the sunlight and they get dried completely naturally. It's a very simple process. Each time I take a basket of washing out into the backyard and hang it out, I'm in touch with that there's an alternative to the ease and comfort that sits in front of us each day. It brings me back to know that I'm making choices every day that affect me and the world around me. Well, thank you. I've never actually been applauded for using the washing line before. That's a first. So I appreciate that. I'm inviting each of us to find something similar that we might take on after today. Not even something we're already doing, so I'm now going to have to think of something else that I'm going to take on. Okay. And I just want to leave a space here for each of us to think of those moments. So have a moment just to think about that, and if need be, jot something down. What is it you could do that would be new in your life and would bring you back to this moment? Okay, I got it. I confess I've been a bit lazy. I've got a perfectly good reusable cup, and I've gotten into the habit of using disposables where I don't need to. So I'm going to renew my commitment to use my reusable ware and stay away from this stuff. So you can count on me for that from here on. I wonder if anybody's got an example to share of something that they feel will affirm them in what they see as possible now and the action they can take. I see a hand there. Can you shout out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a theater voice. Okay, so tonight, steps that we can all take is that we could join, there's the Nibby Walk, which is a group of indigenous women that are walking from the top to the bottom of the Ohio River to share awareness and prayers. There's a gathering tonight in Louisville at Cox's Park.
Okay.
That's at 7:30, and nibbywalk.com is the website if you want to join them otherwise.
All right.
Every step is a prayer.
That's amazing information. It's actually the answer to a different question. So maybe what you wanted to share was that you'll be taking part in that as well.
I already have.
Thank you. Wonderful. And I saw...
Use the washing line.
Thank you. That's great. And I saw a hand at the back in the gloom.
Yeah, I think we are a family of carnivores. We are meat eaters, but I think we will adopt at least one day a week of no meat.
Wow.
And so everybody will be thinking about it that day.
Fantastic. I want to say thank you for that. Anybody else got an example they want to share? Yes, please.
Take cloth bags to the grocery store so you don't get the plastic.
Great. And is that your commitment to use cloth bags in future? Thank you. So now I'm not suggesting this is all that we'll be involved in the world, but it's important that we keep ourselves awakened in this game. So thank you. Right. Barbara, where are we?
I think we're beginning to close.
We're beginning to close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
What a sad moment.
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, I love this process of coming back to making a commitment. I just made a new commitment as well, and that is to create a gray water system for myself. I live in California and there's a drought, and I just made the commitment to use a bin in my sink to capture all of the water and then use that to water the garden. And no matter how many times I lead a workshop, there's always this commitment process and there's never enough commitment. So I really appreciate the opportunity to continue building on what I'm already doing. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I'm wondering if we shouldn't mention this right now,
Yeah.
which is the other piece of paper that we gave you. And there are two sides to it. One of it is labeled Pathways to Participation, and it actually invites you to let us know which of the different activities that we've talked about that we're providing as Generation Waking Up or as the Pachamama Alliance, which you're interested in. And if you provide us with information on there, we can follow up with you. If you'd like us to hand this in, please tick to say that you'd love to bring this symposium to a community that you care about, or tell us that you'd like to join the local group that is making the Up to Us pathway available in its area. Tell us about that if you wish to. That you want to register for the online education Game Changer Intensive. or that you'd like to join an action circle, or that you want to know more specifically about Generation Waking Up, please tell us that on this side. And if you're doing that, please share your feedback about today on the other side. Thank you.
So we're going to complete the symposium shortly after just a few announcements and a final video, and then we have a small gift that we'd like to share with you. First, we'd like to just acknowledge and say thank you to a few folks, and maybe you can help me with this if I leave any names out, but we want to start off just by thanking the organizers and the staff of Festival of Faiths. It's been an honor to be here. Also, the Center for Interfaith Relations as well. All of the staff that have been keeping this going, thank you. The professional crew that's backstage, behind those cameras, behind this sound.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. All of the theater staff here at Actors, and also Christy and Owsley Brown.
Yeah.
I think they may have taken off, but thanks to them as well. Am I missing anyone?
I think those are the people that we know that have taken such good care of us and been so supportive of this event happening. If there's anybody else that we've omitted, I apologize. We're super grateful. It feels like we've come into an amazing space, beautifully prepared and beautifully served by many, many people. And the other acknowledgement would be to you all for being here.
And to those of you who've been watching in through the online streaming.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, all of you.
So, what's happened here today? What was this symposium? We like to acknowledge that this isn't intended to be a sort of one-shot, one-time peak experience, and we all feel really good, give ourselves a pat on the back, and that's it. But in fact, the symposium begins now. It begins now that we have completed this presentation, and you have the opportunity to integrate everything that you've experienced here today. And you have an opportunity to take the stand that you're committed to taking. And with that comes courage, right? Courage to be in integrity with what you know is right and true. Courage to be that voice that maybe before thought it didn't matter, but is now speaking up. And courage to simply be who you know yourself to be. So I want to honor the courage that you will all be embodying as you step forward. And with that, we want to give you something that will symbolize both our time here today and potentially that courage for you, something that you can take with you that will remind you of this experience and also remind you of that commitment that you have. So we'll invite the ushers to help us out.
I can see ushers ushing. Yeah.
So in a moment, the ushers are going to come around, and they're already coming out, and they're going to hand you something special that looks like this. These are bracelets that were woven
in Ecuador.
Right? So I want you to hold on to your bracelet as you receive it, and then I'm going to give you some instructions. Okay.
It might help to have the house lights up a little bit as well.
Yeah. So hold on to this bracelet. Looks like everybody has.
If you haven't got one, please raise your hand so we can find you.
Take your bracelet.
Thank you.
Oh, can we switch? I want that color. So as we opened the symposium today, we took a moment to really acknowledge all those who've come before us. And I want to invite us, as we hold these bracelets and before we go into completing, to just close our eyes and again come back into that space of gratitude. Gratitude for all of those who came before us, who made it possible for us to be here today. All those who are with us at this moment on the planet, and for all of the future beings whose lives this work is really, really for. Pay gratitude to them. And now direct that gratitude at yourself, thanking yourself for following that voice inside of you that told you you needed to be here, and to that voice inside of you that will continue to guide you towards your commitment and your unique contribution in the life. Give yourself gratitude for saying yes to that. And now let's all take a big deep breath together, inhaling and exhaling. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something special about this bracelet here. And that is that it's not yours quite yet. I want to invite you to take the bracelet that you have and tie it on to the person next to you. So this may take a little coordination, but I'm inviting everyone here to tie the bracelet on. And when you do that, I invite you to say any words that you have for this person at this moment. Anything from your heart that you feel you may want to speak as you tie this bracelet of courage and commitment on.
Wow. Would you?
I would love to. Well, I didn't end up with the one I wanted, huh? No, I'm kidding.
Everything's possible.
Everything is possible. Is this loose enough?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
I have
you.
something for you.
Mm-hmm. What?
Where are
This?
we going? Yeah.
Maybe this side now.
Okay. Barbara, wow. You've always been somebody that's inspired me deeply. That you're as wise and grounded and willing to be of service and such a light in the world. And still only 17.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
I don't remember what comes next. It's on my paper.
We're going to play the next video. I've got a couple of announcements to read off a sheet when we do that.
Okay. And once you've completed tying on your bracelet, we just have a few more words and a video for you.
Okay. All right, everybody found the bracelet? I have a couple of announcements I promised to share that we will be telling you this evening. Okay, so Barbara and I will be here. We'll probably sit on the edge of the stage here immediately after we've finished, and we welcome any conversations that people want. We might actually transfer those conversations into the lobby where there's actually a reception immediately after this, and there'll be food and drinks there, I believe. So food, snacks, and a bar, it says. And then it says, please stay with us for the rest of the evening for our final extraordinary Festival of Faiths 2014 two-part event starting at 7 p.m. At 7 p.m. there's a conversation between father and son. Dr. Ed Bastian and his son Jonathan will be in conversation. And after that, the last event, the last part of this Festival of Faiths, an interspiritual exploration and zikr. Zikr? Zikr, is that it? I'm not sure. I wasn't sure if somebody had dropped a vowel. Zikr. Fantastic. And I met Kabir last night, and I promise you're in for an entertaining time with him. That's coming up as the last event of the evening. They'll be back in here, so please feel free to join us with that. We're going to show you a final video, and then we're going to time a 3-minute moment of beautiful silence, and that will mark the end of the afternoon. So thank you.
Thank you.
The kind of hope that I often think about, I understand above all is the state of mind, not the state of the world. Either we have hope within us, or we don't. It is a dimension of the soul. Hope is not the conviction that something will turn out well, but the certainty that something makes sense, regardless of how it turns out.
As we look to the future, there's a metaphor from nature that can serve us. When a caterpillar reaches a certain point in its evolution, it becomes overconsumptive, a voracious eater that consumes hundreds of times its own weight. At the same time, inside the molecular structure of the caterpillar, something called the imaginal cells become active. They wake up, look for each other, and begin to cluster inside the caterpillar's body. When enough of them connect, even though they are not in the majority, they become the genetic directors of the future of the caterpillar. At that point, the other cells begin to dissolve and become what's called the nutritive soup, out of which the imaginal cells create the absolutely unpredictable miracle of the butterfly. What's possible is that we are the imaginal cells on the planet now.
We don't need any hero on a white horse. We're the people we've been waiting for. You already have within you enough love to save the planet.
What gives me hope? The answer that came to me was, Julia, if you have hope in your heart, and even if you're the only person left who has hope in their heart, if that hope is committed in action, then there's hope for the world. If you're the only person left, as long as your hope is committed in action, then hope is alive in the world.
There's an old African proverb that some of you know that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We have to go far quickly. So we have to have a change in consciousness, a change in commitment, a new sense of urgency, a new appreciation for the privilege that we have of undertaking this challenge.
In the course of history, there comes a time when humanity is called to shift to a new level of consciousness, to reach a higher moral ground, a time when we have to shed our fear and give hope to each other. That time is now.
Every single one of us can do something to make a difference. You can, you can, you can, you can. I can. God bless you.
Let's sit for a moment. Thank you all.